It is the end of day 4 of early voting in Texas, and voter turnout is at a record pace this year.
Yeah, there are 18 million registered voters, and when you include the mail-in voting, 2.8 million of them have already cast a ballot.
The Secretary of State is responsible for making sure this election runs as smoothly as possible. Jane Nelson carved out time for an exclusive interview with us to share what she's doing now to protect your vote.
We have more people who have early voted either in person or by mail than we've ever had in the history of the state.
With a record-breaking start to early voting, Texas Secretary of State Jane Nelson is hyper-focused on safety.
Well, threatening violence is against the law. And our election administrators we've unfortunately had to coach them through how to deal with angry people.
With growing concern about election violence in some states, we asked Secretary Nelson whether there have been any reports of violence at polling locations in Texas.
I'd rather not even answer yet. I'm always concerned. And again, I will protect the people who are doing this very important work. It is against the law to threaten someone.
Another challenge at the polls, disinformation.
What is damaging is that sometimes when these rumors and misinformation get out there and get amplified, it could discourage somebody from voting and thinking their vote doesn't count.
I voted for one president, checked it on the video screen. When I got the paper ballot, it had the other candidate's name on it.
On the first day of voting in Tarrant County, a voter made a mistake on his ballot that was rectified. But how it was portrayed on social media for millions of people to see was that the machine purposefully switched his vote.
Rumors catch fire. That is a perfect example.
Secretary Nelson urges anyone who fears improprieties at the polls to report it.
With 18 million people hopefully casting their vote, there's going to be a glitch somewhere, and they may be rightfully concerned. We will address it.
And with just under 2 weeks before the election, Nelson, at the request of Attorney General Ken Paxton, is addressing what she calls the federal government's failure to hand over data Texas could use to cross-check its voter rolls on non-citizens.
I don't want anyone who is qualified to vote to be denied that vote. That would be terrible. I also want to make sure that nobody who's not a citizen is trying to vote, which is against the law, by the way.
Nelson admitted we're talking about a small number of people potentially doing this in Texas, but she and Paxton filed suit this week.
Doesn't this lawsuit itself then have the potential to create misinformation?
Right. Why wait? We haven't waited. We've waited to sue because we thought that we would be able to get this information.
This election day, Nelson says, be civil to one another and know your vote is protected.
This upcoming election will be the most secure election Texas has ever had.
You can see my full interview with the Secretary of State, including what she says about a project near and dear to her heart at Texas Women's University. Also, her year-long health transformation. She's feeling better than ever, and she'll tell you why. It airs tonight at 10:30 on our smart TV streaming app, WFAA+.